All right, good day everyone, and welcome to lesson 2.2 of PA 106. This is still your research methods in public administration 1. So, practically, this is a direct continuation of our lesson 2. Before, we have tried to cover the general architecture of chapter 1. This time, we will try to go deeper, no? Mas comprehensive, mas guided dahil mahalaga ito bilang foundation ninyo in completing your research work, particularly your chapter 1. Okay? So in the next few hours, we will walk through 6 connected parts of chapter 1. We will try to use one generic example so that you could actually be guided in the entire process of writing this one. Okay? So, let's proceed to the next slide. Let me just actually give you the overview of our roadmap. So there are 6 interconnected parts that we will discuss today. So we have the background of the study, the review of the related literature, theoretical and conceptual framework, the statement of the problem and hypothesis, significance of the study, and the definition of terms. And lastly, of course, the integration of its totality into one single chapter. Okay, so take note that these are not 6 fragmented and different topics. Practically, they are 6 interconnected links into a single chain. And that connection will be called now the golden thread in the entire discussion of this recorded lecture. Okay, so let me just remind you, everyone, that the chapter 1 is actually a chain and hindi siya isang pile or tambak ng magkakahiwalay na parte na ipapasa ninyo sa akin later on or to your advisor. Okay? You have to remember that each part must cause the next one. Ibig sabihin, hindi magiging maganda ang discussion ng susunod na parte kung yung previous part ay hindi maayos ang pagkakasulat. Okay? So, for example, the background of the study creates the felt problem. So, doon pa lang, binibigyan nyo na kami ng idea that this is the current scenario. This is the status quo. Okay? Whereas yung RRL naman natin, it confirms the gap. Na, there is a problem. However, this is the gap we would want to focus on. Kasi you have to take note that we research because we want to solve a specific problem. And in order for us not to repeat the existing study, we have to provide a new and fresher perspective that would definitely respond and address the problem. Okay? And then, of course, um, yung statement of the problem ninyo operationalizes already the entire study into the question. Now, if you are going to remove one part of your chapter 1, mawawalan ng saysay ang natitira. That is why, no, the test of a well-built chapter 1 is how well and how interconnected the parts are when written. Okay? So, again, let me just re-emphasize so that you would understand how important the writing of chapter 1 is as an integral part of your proposal defense. Okay? Bakit nga ba mahalaga ito? Because your methodology later on, yung i-discuss ko sa chapter 2, including your instruments, later on sa chapter 3, yung result ninyo, and even your conclusions and of course your recommendations, all of these can be traced back sa mga tanong na itinakda at isinet ng grupo ninyo sa chapter 1. Kapag mahina ang foundation ng inyong chapter 1, affected po yung buong structure na susundan nito. Nonsense yung chapter 2, nonsense din yung chapter 3. So ito ang pinaka-reason why I am giving much attention to the discussion of how we should write the chapter 1. And this is not just an overview. Although hindi ko minamaliit yung experiences ninyo, and I take credit kinikredit ko yung naaral ninyo, no, doon sa yung experiences ninyo kasi uh, uh, I trust that your practical research teachers in your senior high school and even your teachers here in college are competent enough to have shared with you their knowledge in terms of research. Okay, so let's begin with the background of the study. Practically, the background of the study is said to be the establishment of the case for your research. Okay? So dito, ang gagamitin kong example would be the devolution ng health services sa mga municipal LGU sa Ilocos Sur. This is uh, as enshrined by RA 7160 or the Local Government Code of 1991. So here, we will try to ask 3 questions for every section. Ano ito or what is it? Para saan ito or what is it for? And how exactly do you write it? Paano natin siya susulatin? Okay? So let's proceed first with what is a background of the study and what it is for or para saan ito. So practically, when we talk about the background of the study, it is the narrative or it is the opening of your research. This is not a bullet point, okay? It's flowing. So series of paragraph po siya which are well sourced, okay? This explains bakit mahalaga ang inyong topic bago pa man ninyo sabihin ang specific na problema. Para saan ito? It progressively narrows the reader's attention. It creates now yung yung need for research. So dito, justify nyo na sa amin na mga readers ninyo bakit kailangang i-research ito. No? So, you are giving us the sense na meron pang parte ng phenomenon na ito, meron pang parte ng situation na ito na hindi pa nalulutas and only your study can address it. Okay? And the ideal way to write your background of the study is yung tinatawag nating funnel technique. Parang embudo. Okay? Para siyang embudo. Okay? So, the most reliable structure for a BOS or a background of the study is called yung funnel technique. You start with the widest uh, geographical context, for example, and then you slowly narrow it down. So, in general, there are 4 movements. Global, pandaigdigan, okay? National, of course, the entire Philippines, local, for example, in our region, in our province, and then later on, yung felt problem, yung doon na sa pinaka-lokal ng study ninyo. This is needed because dumadaloy ang inyong BOS as one continuous narrative. Na itong mga kwentong ito ay danas din ng mga tao, ng mga particular group sa iba't ibang parte or panig ng mundo. Okay? In other books, nilalagay din nila yung regional. When I say regional, ito yung sa Southeast Asia. Okay? So, take note na hindi po hiwa-hiwalay na sections ang BOS natin. Hindi sabihin, ito ang global, ito ang national, hindi ganon yun. Okay? So, pag-usapan natin ang bawat parte. Okay? So, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, the widest portion would be the global or the theoretical context. Ano ang laman ng global or theoretical context? Okay? So, it opens with a broad governance principle at stake or a general public administration question, a general governance problem. For example, hindi pa ito uh, hindi pa ito magfo-focus sa Pilipinas per se. So maghahanap tayo ng mga studies kung saan or mga literature kung saan nabanggit ang decentralization, for example, as a governance strategy. Okay? Ang devolution ng public services, including healthcare. So, mula sa national government papunta sa local government as well is already a very wide experience na ginagamit ng maraming developing democracies sa mundo. Okay? So, how do we start writing the context of a global setup? So you can say decentralization has been widely promoted across developing democracies as a mechanism for improving the delivery of essential public services, including healthcare, by bringing decision making closer to the communities that they serve. If you try to notice, walang binanggit na Pilipinas, walang binanggit na Ilocos Sur, walang binanggit na Tagudin. Okay? At meron pa siyang citation na uh, bumabanggit sa international literature on decentralization theory. So, umpisahan nyo sa ganyan. Okay? And then, pagkatapos ninyong bigyan yung readers ninyo ng global or international context, pumunta tayo ngayon sa national context. So, inarrow down natin ito papunta sa Philippine setting. Okay? So, dito natin babanggitin ang mga existing na batas or pag-aaral na kinonduct sa Pilipinas. Pwede mong banggitin ang RA 7160 or LGC of 1991 na nagpasinaya sa devolution ng basic services, including na yung health services mula sa Department of Health papunta na sa local government units. You can also cite several relevant laws, no? National statistics from the Department of Health, the Philippine Statistics Authority, or even national level studies on health devolution. So you may write as follows. In the Philippines, Republic Act 7160 or the Local Government Code of 1991 devolve the delivery of basic health services from national Department of Health to local governments or units, no? To provincial, city, municipal, local government units. So dito, class, makikita natin at masasabi natin ang batas nasabi sa Pilipinas pero hindi pa to nagbabanggit ng specific na munisipyo. So susunod pa lang diyan yung tinatawag nating local or regional context. Okay? So dito mas ina-narrow down pa natin to. And this is the most important movement for us dahil dito tayo may natatanging kalamangan bilang taga Ilocos Sur. So, once you narrow it further, papunta sa province of Ilocos Sur, sa inyong specific na munisipyo, sa rural health ninyo or sa municipal health ninyo, doon nyo nababanggitin kung ano yung lokal na pinag-aaralan ninyo. So dito you may already cite local ordinances available, local government unit health budget data, or even mga reports from the DOH regional office. So you may write it this way. Within Ilocos Sur, the implementation of devolved health services has produced uneven results across its 32 municipalities and 2 component cities, Vigan and Candon City, with disparities in staffing, budget allocation, and access to basic health programs. Dito, binanggit na natin ang Ilocos Sur mismo kasama ang mga particular or specific na mga munisipyo at mga lungsod. And then lastly, would be yung tinatawag nating felt problem. Sa last movement natin, okay, hindi pa formal research question, rather it's your own synthesis ng tension or kakulangan na inyong napansin. So this paragraph is the bridge into your statement of the problem, kaya dapat malinaw and very powerful dapat ang pagkakasulat nyo dito. The last words of your BOS should be your own words and no longer a citation. Okay? So, pwede nyo sabihin dito, despite this legal architecture, there remains limited empirical documentation of how devolved health service delivery actually functions at a municipal level in Ilocos Sur. And it raises now questions about whether communities are receiving the quality of care, the devolution the framework intended. So practically, this is where your BOS ends, and this is where your RRL begins. Okay? So before we move on to the next part, which is yung RRL natin, okay, I would just like to give you some three quick reminders. Number one, every factual claim needs an in-text citation. And in this context, we are still following the APA 7th edition. I trust that I don't need to discuss anymore how to properly use the APA 7th edition in referencing and citation styles. However, to supplement, I will be providing you a video lecture and a reading material on that, so that you could reinforce what you already know, learn what you don't know yet, relearn what you already know, and unlearn what you used to know but no longer operative. Okay? Number two, number two, uh, never open with a dictionary definition. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Always remember that you have the full control of your paper. So, operationally define terms based on how you use them in your paper. And number three, end your felt problem not on a citation but in your own words. Uh, Typically, I would suggest that your paper would be 3 to 5 pages long, double spaced. However, you may add information so long as hindi po siya repetitive. Okay? At nakakapture na ninyo yung gusto ninyong focus ng inyong study. Alright? So, moving forward to our review of related literature. Okay? So, this is where you build the synthesis matrix and justifying your gap. Saan ito magfo-fall? Okay? So, from your concept paper, you will now be building your review of related literature. Okay? First, ano ang RRL at para saan ito? When you say RRL, it is a critical thematically organized discussion of literature. This is not an annotated bibliography. This is not a list of summaries. Practically, uh, your RRL situates your study inside an ongoing scholarly conversation, at it proves na hindi pa nasasagot ng ibang researcher ang inyong tanong. So, from your synthesis matrix, yung pinagawa kong table sa inyo in your concept paper, diyan nyo nabubuuin yung inyong RRL. Okay? So again, ang RRL ay hindi copying and pasting. Maghahanap kayo ng mga studies na nakandak na, pagko-compare nyo po sila, tignan nyo kung ano pa yung kulang sa nangyaring pag-aaral nila at yun yung pupunan ninyo. And when you say RRL, you synthesize. You read and then you type in there what you have understood. So, hindi nyo kokopyahin yung abstract ng study na nakita po ninyo. Okay? I do hope that that is clear. Okay? So, just for you to be guided, the first step in making your RRL is to build a synthesis matrix, which I believe you are currently doing while you are watching this. This is a working table, okay? The first row or the first column would be for the author, and then the second one would be for the significant findings, etc., etc. Okay? You have to take note that this should be a working table. Okay? You don't need to arrange them chronologically, but the best way is for you to arrange it thematically. Okay? And then, nasabi ko sa inyo, 15 sources, but you have to aim for more. Huwag kayo magre-rely sa minimum. Okay? You can add more in order for you to enrich your writing. You have to add more to make your literature richer. Okay? So, the discipline of filling this table out ang siyang makakapagpigil sa atin na gawing listahan ang laman ng inyong review. Take note, okay? the very reason why by group ang inyong thesis writing is because kailangan ng mas maraming magtutulungan para maghanap ng literature. Okay? And again, I have to repeat myself right now to make it clear at ma-convey ko sa inyo ang warning ko. I wouldn't mind dropping students if they are deemed uncooperative and useless. Okay? I would not be sorry for my words, but if that's the case, ayaw ko nang pabigat sa aking klase. Okay? Ay hindi ko kayo papayagan na mag-move forward kasi, you know, finishing a degree must actually be out of hard work. Hindi yung freeloader lang kayo. Okay? Ang dami-dami ng problema sa Pilipinas, dadagdag ka pa. Utang na loob. Okay? Para sa mga nakikinig at nakakapanood ngayon nito, kung wala kang iniaambag sa thesis ninyo, better move out from my class. And once you realize how important it is for you to be helpful in your group, you may go back. Pero if it's too late for you to go back kasi I have already dropped you, then you have to wait for 1 year before you can actually re-enroll this subject. Okay? So after building your synthesis matrix, okay, may example pala ako dito for us to be guided. Okay? Yung example ko din na pinost ko sa group chat natin last time. So I think I don't need to repeat this anymore. You just need to go back to my discussion in order for you to better grasp what I was saying at that time. The second step is for you to group your studies by theme and not by author. And of course, what are the common themes? Tignan ninyo sa aspetong legal at political. Okay? You can also talk about institutional factors, stakeholder experiences, and outcomes of the study. Okay? So dito, tignan ninyo sa findings yung recurring themes. Ano yung paulit-ulit na binabanggit ng mga studies? Saan sila magkakapareho? Yun yung gawin yung theme. Okay? So, yun. One subheading per theme, it's okay. And within each theme, you can discuss 3 to 6 sources together. Okay? Para ma-establish mo na, okay, may common ground or may commonality na sa mga pag-aaral na aming nakita. Okay? And then, ito yung week kung titignan natin sa pagsusulat ng RRL, no? De la Cruz 2021 studied IPMR selection in the Cordillera. Santos and Ramos in 2019 studied LGU compliance nationwide. Ang layo. Kasi yung isa, pinag-uusapan is yung IPMR selection. Yung isa naman, LGU compliance. So, medyo mismatch po siya. Dapat, kung ang binabanggit mo ay IPMR selection dapat yung mga binabanggit mo mga study. May pagkakapare-pareho. So, tignan natin yung mas magandang example. Okay? Studies on indigenous political representation have converged on the finding that legal recognition does not translate into substantive participation. Okay? This is true to De La Cruz 2021 and Santos and Ramos 2019. However, this literature has relied on compliance metrics rather than lived experience, which is a gap of the study. Anong gap ito? Okay? This is a methodological gap. Bakit? Kasi nga ang study ay nakafocus lang masyado sa compliance matrix which is a quantitative in nature. So therefore, kailangan mag-conduct tayo ng qualitative by getting their lived experiences. So see, doon pa lang sa inyong discussion ng RRL, nababanggit na rin ninyo yung mga potential gaps. And this is actually a support now on why the study should be conducted. Okay? So there are 5 gaps: geographical, population, methodological, temporal, and of course, theoretical. Actually, 10 yung diniscuss ko sa inyo, but these are very common. Okay? So, balikan nyo na lang po yung discussion natin nung una regarding gaps in order for us not to repeat this once more. Okay. We proceed with the third part. Part 3 na po tayo. Okay? So the third part is yung tinatawag nating theoretical and conceptual framework. So these are actually borrowed scholarships. Theoretical framework are borrowed scholarships whereas conceptual framework are your own study-specific model. Okay? Para saan, ano ito at para saan ito? So for theoretical framework, my dear students, this is actually um, your part where you discuss established and published theory. These are developed by recognized scholars and not by you. So maghanap kayo ng mga teorya, mga principles, mga laws, okay, that explains the general phenomenon you are trying to study. It answers the questions why, according to existing scholarship, does this happen? Bakit nangyayari ang kaganapang ito? Okay? So, for example, yung topic natin na decentralization at devolution kanina, pwede kong banggitin si Dennis Dinelli's Theory of Decentralization 1981. Ala, circuit, di ba imbagamat na dapat 2021 and up or 2020 and up? Yes, but in the case of theory, pwede po yung mas luma. Okay? So long as hindi pa ito na-disprove. At extremely relevant po ito sa inyong pag-aaral. Okay? And then, okay, so there are 4 steps that you have to observe in writing your theoretical framework. You have to firstly name the theory, okay, and its originator. Okay? Of course, observe proper citation pa din. For example, Rondinelli's 1981 Theory of Decentralization. Hindi ko lang sinabing decentralization theory na walang pinanggalingan. I have to cite and attribute as well the theory to the scholar who developed it. Okay? After citing your theory's originator, of course, you have to explain the theory's postulates. Explain kung ano ang binabanggit ng theory in your own words. Okay? For example, you try to explain ang pagkakaiba ng administrative decentralization as compared to fiscal decentralization. When you say administrative decentralization, paglipat ng implementation ng responsibilities from a bigger chunk of governance structure to a smaller one. Whereas fiscal decentralization, you try to transfer the budgetary and revenue raising powers from a bigger chunk of department to a smaller one. So you have to do this in enough, no, with enough depth para maintindihan ng isang mambabasang hindi pamilyar dito. Again, not all are actually well read at hindi lahat ay talagang malalim ang pag-intindi sa public administration. So you have to make it easier for the people who are reading your research understand it very easily. Okay? Once you have already explained the theory's core postulates, now relate it with your study. You have to state why this theory is the right lens and bakit ito connected sa inyong study. Okay? So state explicitly why this theory is the right lens. For example, so nabanggit ko na yung kay Rondinelli's theory of decentralization. Nabanggit ko na kung ano yung binabanggit ng theory na to. This time, i-connect ko siya sa pag-aaral ko. So, Rondinelli's distinction between administrative and fiscal decentralization directly frames this study's inquiry into whether devolved health functions in Ilocos Sur municipalities are matched by adequate devolved budgetary authority. Okay? So always connect specific tenets of your theory to specific aspects of your topic. Okay? So we proceed with the last step in your theoretical framework, and that is whenever you use two or more theories, show how they are connected. Hindi lang siya relevant sa study nyo per se, but dapat yung mga theories na binabanggit din po ninyo ay magkakaugnay sa isa't isa. Okay? You have to explain how they complement with each other. Hindi lang basta listings, hindi lang basta enumeration. Okay? Yun po yun. Okay? Now, done with the part of the theoretical framework, we proceed now with conceptual framework. Ano naman ito at para saan ito? When you say conceptual framework, this is more of like the researcher constructed model. So kayo ang gagawa nito. Okay? Yung theoretical framework, base ito sa mga published scholarly articles on theories. This time, si conceptual framework naman, nakabase naman po siya sa sarili po ninyong gawa. And it must be built using the theories above. Okay? Yung theoretical framework, hiram ninyo ito sa mga established scholars. Ang conceptual framework, kayo mismo ang sumulat nito. Okay? So, there are two common paradigms, okay, na ginagamit po natin. We have the IPO model, or in some other books, IPOO. That's your input, process, output, or for the case of IPOO, input, process, output, and outcome. Meron din tayo tinatawag na IVDV model, or the independent dependent variable model. So pag-usapan natin yung una, okay? We have the IPO model. We have the input. Okay? Sa input po, dito po ninyo ilalagay yung mga bagay na umiiral bago pa man magsimula ang proseso. What is already present? So the legal mandate, for example, the health budget allocation, etc., etc. Okay? Practically, the input are the preconditions your study takes as given. Given na siya at done, existingan. Okay? And then, these inputs must be used in your process. Okay? So, the process would be the actual scenario. Ano ba yung nangyayari? Okay? So, yun yung ilalagay po ninyo sa process po ninyo. And then, of course, your output would be what? Ano yung mga magiging output ninyo? So, assessment ng effectiveness of health service delivery at mga policy recommendations po ninyo para sa mas mahusay na health devolution. You always have to remember na sasamahan ang diagram na ito ng narrative. So, after presenting the IPO diagram, dapat meron din po siyang textual explanation. Huwag lang ipakita yung mga boxes ng walang paliwanag. Okay? So, a quick recap lang tayo. Again, pag sinabi kong theoretical framework, these are borrowed from named scholars and explains why the phenomenon exists. Conceptual framework, on the other hand, constructed by you, which shows now the variables you relate. Okay? So I hope that's clear because we are now moving forward to one of the most important things in your study, and that is now the writing of your statement of the problem. And if you will be proceeding with a quantitative research or a mixed method research, you have to write as well your hypothesis. Okay? So again, the first question here is, para saan ang statement of the problem at ano ito? Okay? So when we talk about the statement of the problem, okay, or others would call it SOP, this is where the felt problem from your BOS and the gap na ginastify ninyo sa RRL meets. Okay? This is where your methodology also begins until you finish your study in chapter 3. Okay? So, when we talk about the statement of the problem, it's the general translation of your felt problem and the gap into a precise set of researchable questions. Okay? In other books, and if you're going to proceed with qualitative research, ang statement of the problem ay yung tinatawag nating research question. Okay? Okay? So, it is the general pivot point of chapter 1. Everything before it builds the case for why these questions matter, at everything after it exists to answer them. This is where vague concern becomes an actual research question. Okay? So, there are two parts of your statement of the problem. Okay? We have the general problem. The general problem is written in declarative format. When you say declarative format, it is written in a sentence form. Okay? Hindi po siya patanong. Okay? So in its general essence, you say, this study aimed to examine the representational effectiveness of IPMR institution in the municipalities of Ilocos Sur. Again, when you say general problem, you are trying to present now the actual aim or purpose of your study. Ano ba talaga ang tunay na gagawin ninyo? Is it aimed to examine, measure, assess, or whatsoever there. So kailangan mahalaga yung yung mga verbs na gagamitin po ninyo daan, okay? So this study aims to compare, this study aims to document, this study aims to uncover, this study aims to measure. Yung mga words na gagamitin nyo dan would already be a significant clue kung ano yung method na gagamitin ninyo. When you say to measure, generally that's quantitative. When you say to describe, that is already qualitative. When you say to explore, qualitative po yan. Okay? Once you have already established your general problem, we proceed now with your specific problem. Sa specific problem, diyan na po ninyo sasabihin ng mga questions po ninyo. So, usually, your specific problems are written in interrogative sentence. Ibig sabihin po niyan patanong. Okay? Most of the researches will ask for the profile of the respondents or the participants. Pero take note, hindi lahat ng research ay kailangan may profiling. Unless they will be used for your inferential question, comparing now the results as against the profile. Okay? Yan. So, nakadepende po sa inyo kung ilan ang inyong research questions. So long as dapat po nasasatisfy nila yung inyong mga tanong sa research po ninyo. Okay? So generally speaking, specific research question could be on the profiling. Pwede rin pong mag-ask ito ng procedure. Pwede rin po siyang evaluative or even relational. Sa relational, dito papasok yung inferential statistics po natin. Okay? So again, nasa sa inyo po on how you write your research question. Okay? So I would just like to leave here 3 rules for sub-problem in order for you to know kung enough na ba yung questions ninyo. Number 1, use interrogative sentences. End it with a question mark and not a statement form. Number 2, this should be logically presented. Okay? Hindi pwedeng research question number 4 ang profile. Dapat mauuna ang profile kung kailangan nyo ng profile. Kailangan din natin isunod yung process. And then evaluative research question until your relational question. Okay? And last tip is each sub-problem must be answerable by a specific section on your chapter 4. Okay? Sir, pwede bang mixed method? Yes, kung kaya ng time ninyo. Again, sabi ko nga sa inyo, dapat ang inyong research ay feasible within the limits of your budget, time, and skills. Okay? I would not recommend na mag-quantitative lang kayo. I would not recommend na mag-qualitative lang kayo. Nakadepende po sa inyo kung ano yung gagamitin ninyo based sa pangangailangan ng study po ninyo. Okay? So we proceed when in writing the hypothesis. Required ang paglalagay ng hypothesis if you are pursuing a quantitative or mixed methods design. Okay? Generally, wala pong hypothesis sa qualitative or descriptive studies. Okay? So how do we write the qualitative study? How do we write the hypothesis? It is in the null form, negative. Okay? Then, we proceed with the next part. Madali na lang to pero I still have to discuss in order for me to make sure na lahat ay nakakasunod. Okay, the significance of the study in other books, sabi dito ay importance of the study, tapos yung definition of terms. Generally, when you say significance of the study, you are just naming who will benefit from your study. Okay? And paano sila magbe-benefit. Okay? So, ang rule dito sa significance of the study is you have to arrange it from the most important stakeholder to the least. Okay? And ayoko ng generic na pagkakasulat ng significance like this. Kailangan specific para saan ba ito? Ano ang talagang tunay na benefit nito sa mga stakeholders ninyo? Okay? And I will provide you six common groups, pero hindi ito limited lang dito. Okay? So, LGUs or the sanggunian for policymakers, the national agency to which you are rendering the study. For example, kung ang study ninyo ay indigenous people sa NCIP, kung ang study ninyo ay tungkol sa disaster, you can have NDRRMC, etc., etc. Okay? Yan. And then, definition of terms, mahalaga din ito in order for you to lay out the foundations of and the definitions of your variable. In writing your definition of terms, dapat po you are presenting two definitions. Your conceptual definition, which is based on literature or dictionary, and operational definition, which is how you measure it or how you use it in your study. Okay? So, ganyan po ang pagsulat ng inyong definition of terms na makikita po sa inyong papers later on. Okay? I think by this time, ready na kayo to integrate everything. So, I would like to set first the golden thread test. Okay? There are 6 questions that you have to answer before you submit your chapter 1. Okay? Does the felt problem at the end of the BOS match the gap justified on your RRL? I-check ninyo ng maigi ito in order for you na hindi ma-lost ang inyong paper kasi doon tayo masasayang yung oras. Okay? So, dapat parehong limited documentation yung examples po na binabanggit po natin. Okay? Question number 2, does the theoretical framework explain the mechanism behind the same problem? Okay? So, hindi isang tangential or hindi gaanong related ang teorya, X po tayo. Dapat direktang naiuugnay ang decentralization theory, for example, sa specific na problem ng inyong study. Question number 3, does every variable in the conceptual framework correspond to the specific sub-problem? Dapat po, no? Kasi kung hindi, X po yan. Question number 4, does the sub-problem trace back a theme discussed in RRL? So, dapat yung mga variable po ninyo sa sub-problem po ninyo ay makikita din sa RRL po ninyo. Okay? Do the significance benefits follow logically from what the findings will actually produce? Tignan po ninyo. Okay? And then, does the definition of term list only terms that actually appear in your title or frameworks? Huwag niyong i-define lahat. Baka naman 27 pages na ang definition of terms niyo. The key things to be defined are your variables only. Okay? Now, before you submit, gusto ko tingnan niyo muna ito. Basahin niyo muna, no? Yung paper ninyo na magkakasama kayo magkakagrupo. Okay? Does it flow as one argument? Kung hindi, revise. Is Ilocos region contextualization present wherever locally relevant data exists? And is every citation in APA 7th edition with a matching reference list entry? Kasi yung iba, naglalagay na lang ng reference list, wala naman pala sa citation nila. Mali po yan. Okay? So always remember the golden thread. One traceable line for reasoning from your first sentence to your last sub-problem. Okay? So that's it for the chapter 1. Okay? I know that you are still writing your concept paper. Ina-advance ko na po ito para once na ma-check ko yung concept papers po ninyo, we can already proceed with looking for your advisor and finalizing your topic. Once you have already finalized your topic, yan na po yung susulatan ninyo ng chapter 1. Okay? We are still on the right track. Hindi pa naman tayo gahol sa oras. Okay? So, kaya ko nang i-discuss sa susunod na meeting yung ating mga methods po. So that once you are finished with writing your chapter 1, pwede na kayo mag-proceed sa inyong chapter 2. By that time, pwede na ninyong buuin yung paper ninyo, magsanay na kayo para pagkatapos niyaan, you can already have your proposal defense. Okay? If you have questions or clarifications, feel free to message me in our group chat or even post a comment under this lesson so that I would know if you are following the discussion. Yun lamang po ang para sa akin, and we'll see each other again on our next meeting. Maraming salamat and goodbye for now.